Okay, so we have a pretty short daf tomorrow. So on account of that, I figured, I want to just kind of go ahead and with the daf Yomi, this way we'll be ahead. And this is kind of what happened to me in general with the daf Yomi. I went ahead, I'm actually almost done with the Zvachim, so I'm almost two full Masechtas ahead, actually two whole Masechtas ahead, but the next Masechta is very short. Zvachim is one of the longer ones, 120 daf, but the next one is actually the shortest number of daf. It's Harius, but all the dafim are pretty long. So I just want to quickly do, do Nun Vav in Avodah Zarah, and because it's all about finishing Shas more than it's learning anything, isn't it? Right? I'm just kidding. So ve'ein b'artzim Yisrael she'oisa proisa v'tumah. You can't harvest grapes for the wine press with a Jew who processes his produce in a state of tumah. B'chol shekein she'ein darchen, and all the more so, you cannot tread grapes with him in the wine press. Avol b'artzim and akum b'gas, but you can harvest grapes with a pagan for processing in a wine press. Shemur telegram tumah l'chulin sh'b'Yisrael, because you are allowed to cause tumah according to this brisa. You are allowed to cause Levitical impurity to non-sanctified produce in the Holy Land. So and so that's the psak that comes out in the end. So Mishnah Vayter Ve'ein Oisi Yainesa Chachir Labor, that from the wine press until it goes into the cistern, it is not non-kosher wine that was made a libation. Vasanya Vasnan, but don't we have a Mishnah? Yain Mishia Kape. The Mishnah in Maisris that says wine becomes subject to tithing when the scum of the wine floats to the surface. So even once it goes into the cistern, it's not tithable yet. It's not liable to be tithed. So perhaps it's not yain nesach yet either. I mean, it's not something they would offer to an idol because it's not really wine yet. So Amar Rav Leikash Yahal Rabbi Akiva Rabbanan. So Rava says it's not a contradiction. Mishnah and Maisris is Rabbi Akiva, and our Mishnah is the rabbis. The Snan Desanya. We have a brisa because we don't have a Mishnah like this. Yain mishiyard labor, wine once it goes into the cistern. Rabbi Akiva Omer mishiyad kape. So the rabbis say that wine becomes wine when it goes into the bore, into the cistern. But the Rabbi Akiva says a little bit later, only after the scum of the wine floats to the top. So voila whom kipoy devor, I keep it a chavis. So when is Rabbi Akiva talking about? Is it when it's in the cistern, or is it when it's in the barrel, in the cask? So Tashma. So listen to this. The Snan. Now, even though it says the Sanya, we actually have a Mishnah like this too in Maisrus. Yain Mishikape. Afal Pisha Kipa. Kailat Minagas Aliyana Minatsiner Vishoise. That when the scum floats to the top of the wine, even though it floated up, you can collect wine from the upper wine press, which is where the treading basin, and drink it from the pipe without tithing it. Shma mina kippur devor kamrinan. Shma mina. So that means that when it's in the cistern, even before it's barreled, so that's a clear proof, and so there's really not that much of a difference, and that's why perhaps we could say we're machmir. Like the Rabbanan Vasani. Vasani Rav Zvid, the Vei Rabbi Yeshaya, but Rav Zvid was from the Academy of Yeshaya. He taught like this: Yain Shior Lavor Vikapa. Wine, when it goes into the cistern and the scum floats to the surface. Rabbi Akiva Oimer Mishiyishlo B'Chavius. But Rabbi Akiva says it's only when it's poured into the barrels that it's wine. So it's a brisa. So Tarz and Nami Lahach Kamaisa Hachi. So brises are not always exactly right, and you can fix it to say that like this Yayin Mishiyared Lavor Vikapa, Ukivar Mishiyash Lebechavia. So the first brisa that we had before is that we could learn that it's tithed when it gets into the cistern and the scum floats at the top, whereas Rabbi Kiva says it's only when it's drawn from the cistern and put into barrels. It's over a barrel. Our Mishnah says it only becomes non-kosher once it goes into the cistern. Maybe there are three different opinions. No. Shiny Ainesech Dachmiro Beirabanan. No. Yain Nesech, non-kosher wine, the rabbis were stricter on that than they were with tithing, and so therefore you can't really make a comparison between tithing and Yain Nesech. Alright. Amid Beis. Wait a second. Rava, and according to Rava, the Leishani Leimoikim Lekislasa tonight, but for Rava, who doesn't make a difference between tithing and Yain Nesech, perhaps by him there were three different opinions. Okay. Weiter. The Mishnah says Masha Bebor Aser Vashar Mutter. Whatever is in the cistern is not kosher from the pagan, and the rest is kosher. Amar Rav Huna said Leishano Leshleechser Gargrusni Lagas. This is only when you didn't put the strainer back into the treading basin to press more out. Hechser Gargrusni Lagas Aser. But once you returned it, then it's not kosher. The wine that's in the treading basin, not just in the cistern. Gargrusni Gufa B'Maika Mitasra. How the wine, the strainer, become not kosher b'nitzuk? Because the stream of the gravity pulls it down. Shmamina nitzuk chibur. That shows that since it's that if something is connected by virtue of flowing in a stream, it's considered connected according to halacha. Is that really true? Is that really the case here? So Knesane Rabbi Chia, no, because Rabbi Chia taught this brisa. We're going to have later Shepachasatu Sleichiso, that if the flask touched the funnel from the pagan, it rose up till it touched the funnel. Hacha Nami Shepachasatu Bara. So too the wine went up until it touched the strainer, and that's why it's not kosher. So we have a discussion like this. There was a child who was what they call an Eloi. How do you say in English? Is a child prodigy. He was 6 years old, and he had already mastered the Gemara of Avodah Zarah, the whole tractate. So he knew the halachas of Avodah Zarah. So he was an expert. He was a child prodigy, and the rabbis went to him for an answer. Are you allowed to tread wine in a wine press together with a pagan? They said, yeah, you can. But maybe he made a libation while he's treading the wine, maybe a little bit, because even a mashahu, yain nesach is not. So maybe some of it fell onto his hand, and with his hand, when he's pressing the wine, it splashed up onto his hand. And that little bit on his hand, perhaps he was menasech. He performed a libation. So that say yerna lahudi lidei. So this child prodigy said, well, if you bind together his hands, so he cannot perform the libation, he can't move his hands, so then only his feet are, and he doesn't make libation with his feet, and so only his feet are touching, and so therefore it's okay. V'hokum nasich beregel, nisach deregel ishmei nisach. So the rabbis asked the child prodigy, can he perform the libation with his feet? And is that considered a libation? And the child said, no, libation by foot is not a libation, and so therefore it's kosher. So, Avodah. There was a story in Avodah, in Babylonia. The Dash Yisrael v'Akum Lahu Chama. There was a Jew and a pagan. The pagan's hands were bound like the child prodigy taught. And they were pressing wine in the Jews' wine press for the Jews' wine. Vishaye Shmuel plus a Wrigley. And Shmuel waited a whole year, basically 3 holidays. Not necessarily a whole year; it could be 6 months, but for the three pilgrim festivals to pass until he rendered a ruling on this. So why did he postpone it? Because he said if he found another Tana who prohibited, he would say it's indeed Yain Nesech, and it's totally prohibited, even not just to drink, but also like Reb Nassim. Alright. So that's our daf. We did the whole daf in about a little over 10 minutes, 11 and a half minutes. So thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment, all the best. All right. Oh, no, I don't need this one here. All right.